Hello everybody, Weeb Rabbit here, and welcome back to the channel. Today, as you can tell probably from what's on the screen, as well as the thumbnail, etc., I am taking a look at a game called the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Now, I don't know how many of you know this, but back in the day, man, maybe more than 10 years at this point, I'm not really too sure, there was a game that came out called the Stanley Parable. And Stanley Parable, the original, really awesome, really simple game. I would probably call it like a walking simulator maybe, because all you really do is walk around, look at stuff, and interact here and there. But trust me, even though it sounds simple, it was a really fun game where you're this office worker, you're following the instructions of the narrator, or not following the instructions, and depending on whether you follow the instructions or not, you get all sorts of humor and meta commentary and fourth wall breaking, etc. And I don't know, it's just really fun. The narrator's really sassy, and the commentary he gives is really funny, and trying to find all these different endings and things you can do is really cool. So that's fun. And I really enjoyed the game back when it came out. So 2 years ago, when the same company basically said, hey, we're revisiting the game, and this time it's going to have all sorts of new content. I don't know if they're doing anything with the visuals, but I know for sure they said they were going to add like new endings and dialogue and stuff like that. I thought that was really awesome, and I was looking forward to it. So cut to now, the game just came out. I'm not sure what systems it's on. I know I'm playing it on the Switch, but regardless though, I'm excited. And if you've never played the Stanley Parable, hopefully you have fun watching me play it. You kind of get an idea of what the game's about. And if you have played the Stanley Parable and you're looking at me play this new version, same thing. Hopefully I can do right by you guys, and hopefully I can find some new content. See what they did different this time around. But trust me, as we start, you'll kind of see how the story unfolds, kind of see what it's about. And it's a really fun game, trust me. So let's dive in.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Alrighty, so as you can see, we are Stanley, and we can start moving around now. Before I step out though, I was going to say, so we are we're drone. We just do what they tell us and we enjoy it. And basically this is where the story starts, where for some reason the building is empty, Stanley's the only one here, and he's going to start investigating to see what happened. Why is everything so different today? Funny enough, I believe if you stay in your office for like a long amount of time, I don't remember how long you have to stay here to trigger it, I think you actually can get an ending, but I'm not going to do that because I think it takes too long. I don't remember how long it is, honestly. I might try it later. But yeah, so it says to step out of the office. Before that, one other thing I wanted to say is that pay attention to the narrator and whether we follow his orders or not, because it's really funny. I think the narrator is really funny. He can get like really sassy. So just pay attention to whether we follow his orders or not and see what he says. All right. So we're gonna step out of the office.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Alright. So far we're following his orders. And so you can see the dialogue's pretty simple. But as soon as we have a chance to like not follow his orders, I'll do it, watch.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Okay, so if we don't follow his orders, let's see how he acts.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Okay.
Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider.
Yeah, so he's already getting annoyed. He's being kind of, sassy because we're not following his instructions. So, we're gonna keep.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Yes, I was gonna say he's annoyed because we're not following the bigger mystery. So if you keep doing that, he was getting more annoyed. So I'm gonna see if I can trigger at least one more. There you go.
Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Yeah, see, so he starts getting really annoyed. That's what I'm saying. It's really funny how everything you do affects what the narrator
Stanley
says,
sat around waiting for more dialogue. But when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
That's what I'm saying about how it breaks the fourth wall. So pretty fun. So I'm gonna wait one more. I think there's one more piece of dialogue he says. Come on, one more piece of dialogue. Come on, get annoyed, say something else. Yeah, that might be where he actually gave up. Alright, he might have been annoyed. He might not say anything else then. Okay, so let's move on now.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
So we're going to ignore that again.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
I like that. Do not lie. If you're lying right now, stop. Whatever that means. But yeah, see if we, like I said, if we don't follow his directions, he gets really sassy, which is really funny. So we're going to keep doing stuff. Let's see what's up over here. Alright, do not jump from the cargo while it is in motion. This will cause death. So like you get charged more for jumping and killing yourself than for misusing it. That's pretty funny.
Oh, well, look who's got cold feet. Sorry to break it to you, Stanley, but that lift isn't coming back. You'd best either get comfortable right here on this platform or test your luck by jumping to the floor below. You know what? Looking at it now, it's not that far to the bottom floor. I bet you can make it.
Yeah, so he's basically just... Oh, there you go.
Whoops. Looks like I was wrong. How clumsy of me.
Yeah, so he basically tricks us into killing ourselves because he finds us annoying. So I'm telling you, the relationship you can get with the narrator is really funny. As for the whole "the end is never the end" thing that I said to keep an eye out for, that is because every time you die or get a different ending, you end up back in this room. So it's almost like a loop that never ends. It just keeps going and going and going, which they do comment at one point if you get enough endings. But yeah, so that's why it says the end is never the end, because yeah, there's just no ending.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Right. So I could go to the meeting room, but I think there's still some more interesting
When Stanley
stuff.
came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
So this time we're gonna do things
The
differently.
lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
So we're gonna do the same thing. This time we are gonna get on the lift, and we're gonna see what's on the other side.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
So we will get on it.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten.
What? Really?
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful.
See, danger everywhere.
Let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Okay, so he says to trust him. Because right now we're like not trusting him. Alright, so there's a door right here. Alright, so how's he
Now
gonna prove to
listen
us?
carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Alright, let's just keep ignoring him. It's fun when you ignore him, so.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Alright, this time... trying to remember what happens. Just keep ignoring him, it's fine.
All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see, there's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map, because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before.
Okay.
Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Yeah, so after the game starts to get really meta, because they're all upset because you're not following his design, and yeah, everything's all like broken and stuff. We're not going to take that, though. We're just going to take the second one.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Clearly there's something here that speaks to you. If I can be honest here, I really don't have any idea where I'm going with this. This whole third door thing was just a stab in the dark. But I guess you're into it, so let's keep this party train rolling. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Oh, okay, let's see. The Stanley Parable Worldwide Leaderboard. Yeah, so he thinks that's what we want. He thinks we want leaderboards and stuff. Yeah. So I think these are all like developers or something, but yeah, it's so dumb. It's all about opening doors and stuff. And we're like, oh, we're at the bottom watch, I think. Where are we? Where are we? Yeah, Stanley's online. This is you. Yeah. Alright, what happens if we go through the third door now?
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors?
Aw, yeah.
Honest answers, please.
Heck yeah.
Hey, I nearly
So
forgot
excited.
I got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
Someone's booting up.
In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Okay, so this part's actually pretty funny. It's actually, like I said, it's always like, you know, breaking the fourth wall and being meta. If you could, right now, obviously you get bored of it after like a few seconds, right? But there's actually an achievement. If you actually do keep playing for 4 hours, you actually get an achievement. And I think he gives you special dialogue for actually like completing the 4 hours he talked about. Even though it's like a random number he throws out, if you actually do it, you actually get like something for doing it, which is insane. You know what I mean? Yeah, obviously it gets boring, so I'm just gonna let it go. Let's see what he says.
heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here?
You look at this game collection.
This seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
Ah, you dick.
Thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You really wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
Yeah, so this whole section is new. I remember this being in the original. I think this is just like for this version. I guess maybe they got permission from other like studios or to like use these games. This whole thing is new, so I already found something new. Before he would just get mad that you didn't want to play the baby game,
See, this is
and you would get an
exactly
ending.
what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
Yeah, so the other one, I think that game was like Firewatcher or something, which is like another walking
so what
simulator.
exactly do we do?
And this is Rocket League, but we have like no cars, so it's
Lots of
awkward.
cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball?
Sports
Stanley,
ball?
I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
There we go. Yay, ball. So yeah, all of this is different. This is not... Oh, he's picking up speed too. Is he gonna let us touch it? Yes. So all of this is different. Like I'm telling you, this was not in the original. Like, because now I guess they got like, since they're so big, they got permission to like borrow these games. At least like the concepts or whatever.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little
See,
story
he's
that
all
I worked
butthurt.
so hard
He's all
on?
butthurt. That's so
Stanley,
funny.
I have a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball.
Come on.
Yes. Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna like drown us in balls or something.
Balls.
He's probably gonna like drown us in balls or something. Watch. Yeah, but this is so fun because this was not in the original. The original was just like a walking simulator. Here, I love that. They're like letting you explore other games and stuff because he's just so like upset that you didn't like his game, so he's trying to like see
Are you enjoying this, Stanley?
what you like.
Are you having fun? Is this a real video game?
Yeah, see, it's commentary on
Well, I
walking
sure hope you're
simulators.
having a good time because guess what? It's... Hold on.
Oh.
What are you doing?
Yeah, there we go. So I don't know if he would have taken us to another game or if that like was us escaping. We'll have to see what happens. Oh no. Uh-oh.
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Oh, yeah, I'm like falling now. Everything's all like broken. Uh-oh. Ooh, it's actually pretty spooky. Yeah, this is different. This is actually kind of spooky. Ooh. So yeah, I found new content. This was not in the original at all. So all of this right here is like spooky, but it's very interesting. Because yeah, they're getting even more meta with the whole, what is a real video game and why do people enjoy certain things and, like going behind the scenes of a game that's like not complete and stuff. Yeah, I'm afraid something's gonna pop out and scare like the crap out of me, honestly. Yeah, I'm not even sure what you're supposed to do. I've never, like I said, this is all new. Oh, there we go. Hold on. Is he pulling us out?
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
All right. Is it over? Can I move? No, that ended. There you go. And I think we should be back in our office at this point. Let's see. Yeah, we're back in our office. Cool. So as you can see, we've got a couple of different endings. There's the one where he tricks us into killing ourselves because he's annoyed with us. There's the one where we kind of go really meta. And I kind of wish I hadn't fallen in that like ball pit. I wonder what other games we would have explored. But as you can see, it kind of gets like meta where you start exploring other games. And he's like asking, oh, is this a real video game to you? So that's fun. So this time... in fact, let's go to the top this time. See what ending we get then, and then
I think perhaps
I'll follow his instructions soon enough. So,
I'm not your enemy, really. I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting.
There we go. Let's see.
Someone you've forgotten about. Please stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for her.
Ah, mysterious her,
This is
see?
it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
So he's trying to add some drama, which is interesting. Alright, so let's see what happens now.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
So I discovered this last time I was playing. One of the last times I played.
As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him,
Nope.
filling him not just with radiance, but with hope.
Nope.
Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone?
That's like so out of the
That
box.
wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah, I love how he says it.
Double-check.
He's like so confused. Like, you can do that?
No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person.
See, more fourth wall breaking.
I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack."
I don't know what that is. A back, sack, and crack. Oh my goodness, is it 4:30? I need to be off to my back, sack, and crack. I don't know, man. I want to try that in real life now.
Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
I feel like I've learned so much.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
All right. Yeah, I just love whenever they have like those like 50s style instructional videos. I always find those really funny. And yeah, I love how it's like now like the game's mad at you for making decisions, and like, I'm telling you, it gets so meta, but it's like so fun. So let's see what happens now. He's giving us options. Alright. Yeah, see now everything's like gated off, so you can't hurt yourself even if you wanted.
If your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Yeah, see, so now that's like the little meta they're going with. See, like, everything's blocked off, so we can't go anywhere at all. Let's see. What happens if we write it back? I don't need anything. Alright, so let's try to, for now, follow his instructions until we can like, screw ourselves over again.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
I guess the game at this point should be broken, so I don't know what happens if you actually follow the instructions. I think it's still screwed over. I'm not too sure, actually. Alright.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Stanley can't talk. There's no talk button, so he can't do anything.
Stanley spoke the code. Nightshark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Yeah, there's no talk options, so... It's so weird. I don't remember when it like broke down this badly. I thought there wasn't a way to like still do the ending.
You didn't mishear me, did you?
But I guess
Speak
somehow
the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step. Okay, fine. You're not going to do it. But you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means
Oh,
to take
yeah.
a story
This
seriously.
is still part of the
If you
same.
didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You...
Yes, this is different because in the original, there we go. This is what I was looking for.
Door on his left.
Yeah, so we're like in limbo, or because we broke it so much.
Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice.
Yes, that's an ending.
I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me?
Yes, that's what you get for going through the door on the right.
Stanley, this is important.
Because if you do go to the office but you're doing it right, it's a number code. But here, because it's a voice receiver thing, and because your Stanley doesn't talk, so that's why it just gets stuck.
We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something.
Yeah, the mirror is all sad because like it's broken. We can't do anything.
Important than you can ever know.
See, there we go. The original Stanley Parable is 2013. So it's been almost 10 years since it came out.
You hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice.
The port narrator is basically stuck with a
I'll wait for you to decide what's the
Stanley that's like
best
an
thing to
empty
do.
husk, basically.
Take as much time as you need.
Yes, that's sad. So we're like stuck here. We can't make any choices. And Stanley's just there. He's basically an empty husk. And so yeah, the narrator's just waiting for him to answer forever, which is sad. Alrighty, we're gonna be back in our office, I believe. Alright, and this time we're gonna do the basic option. We're actually gonna pay attention to what he says.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yeah, this time I'm actually going to pay attention to what he says. I'm actually going to go to the meeting room. But as you can see, there are just so many branching options where every time he tells you to make a choice. Like, think about just the one where I, like, took that, Oh, hold on.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Okay, so this is going to be some new stuff. So I was going to get the ending, but hold on. Let's check out the new content first. Yeah, the other thing I love about the game is that it's...
And thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Alright, so this
Okay,
is...
so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Watch, we're just stuck in the elevator.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Alright, so yeah, this is all new. Plus the thing I said earlier with the games I was parodying, that was different, and this is different.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if them... Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Okay.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Okay. So happens when we do everything. So it's like mini games basically, but they're like really lame. Let's see. 3, 2, 1. Hooray! We did all our jumps, I guess. That was cool, I guess.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Alright, what's this one gonna be? Thank you for enjoying the new content. That was it.
Oh, you've got to be
was just
kidding me.
jumping.
You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the
biting
level of
commentary
craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
I love that was the new content. It's so stupid. That biting commentary, though. That was fun. Okay, cool. Let's see finally what happens next. Oh, no, it's different. Yeah, this is different. Yeah, we're still in new content territory.
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Okay. Yeah, we'll follow his directions. Why not? Alright, be careful. Alright, what is this going to lead to? Alright, so this...
You remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
What the hell? What is this? Oh, what?
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap Nintendo Switch port? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Wow, that commentary. I don't know what that is, but... Alright, what is this? A little shrine?
Is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim. It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And now...
Nice. I like the name drops.
It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
I can move forward. Oh, what's not here? Memory zone maintenance. Huh. Interesting. Alright, thought there would be something there. Maybe later.
Here's another moving passage. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games, and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. All they had to do was transport it in pristine condition along to the Nintendo Switch. Boom, done. And they couldn't even do that. Couldn't resist the urge to go meddling with a beloved franchise.
Yeah, I said, man, that commentary.
These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no, oh God, no, Stanley. It's a collection of reviews from Pressurized Gas, the extremely popular online storefront for computer games. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here.
It's probably a bunch of like negative reviews.
As well, weren't they?
They're gonna be all negative. Yeah, there we go.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny.
Oh.
I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Oh, another negative review.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Dear,
Alright.
what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Oh, what about this one?
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button.
Jeez.
A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Alright.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more...
So you just keep using it.
Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof and it's all over. I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their pressurized gas review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes?
Damn.
It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room?
Gee, we trap ourselves.
I'm quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a... Stanley! Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours.
Damn.
You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those... Oh, Stanley, you're back.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week.
Oh, the button's gone too. I don't mean, the button's here.
I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But
it makes you feel bad for him, but I need to keep skipping.
It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you put...
Uh-oh.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of...
Yeah, Mary might be dead at some point because we keep skipping. Yeah, I feel bad. I kind of want to listen to it, but I kind of don't. I kind of want to get to the next part, you know? Oh, boy. Yeah, I think poor narrator. I think the narrator's dead, man. Oh, that's a motion thing now. Interesting.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up.
Alright. Yeah, I wonder if there's a way out of here, honestly, because it feels like... Oh boy. Alright.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Yeah, he's freaking out.
Is never the end, is never.
I wonder if we can actually get like achievements for like actually listening to some of these. Yeah, so it cuts between total silence and him talking. Like, I don't know if we're like time traveling or like what's happening. Sometimes he's not talking anymore, which is weird. Oh, damn. That's so weird. Everything's all broken now. Alright, still don't see a way out. Unfortunately. I have to wait for like a tree to grow or some crap, and then like leave to the tree. Yeah, he hasn't talked in a while, so. Yeah, nothing. There we go, now we can escape. Jesus, man, what happened to this place? Is there anything to explore, or should I keep pressing the button? What's gonna happen? Alright, so the building's over there. Do we actually get farther away from it? I think we are. Is there anything actually? Yeah, there we go. I was gonna say, is there anything to walk to? Like, what's the deal? Oof. So that's a rough ending. And that ending, you basically ignore the narrator until the narrator goes crazy, stops talking, or dies or something, and the world gets destroyed, and you finally escape the little bunker thing. But alright, so just one last playthrough. Let's actually follow his instructions so we can see what it is the narrator wanted for us this whole time.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
New content. I'm so tempted. But no. We can do that some other time. I'm going to follow what he actually wants me to do.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors. He entered the door on his left.
Alright, we're going to actually pay attention to what he wants.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Okay.
Coming to the staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
There's an option to go down to. I don't remember what's down there. I don't remember if there's anything special, but yeah, we'll try to follow his instructions as much as possible. That way you guys can see what it is he actually wanted the story to be or whatever, so. Alright, so we saw this earlier. We had seen this. Here's the boss's office, which is different this time.
In the manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Except we do know it because we're like hearing him. This is what I mean. It's supposed to be a numeric pad, and the other time it was like you had to talk into it, and so we couldn't do anything.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Yeah, see, because in this playthrough, he is actually narrating. We're following what he's saying, so he's not directly like interacting with us. So it's different. All right, what am I supposed to do? There we go, this way, I guess. Alright. Guys, so this is what happens if you actually follow what he's asking you to do. See, it says loading instead of the end is near the end, so you know it's a little different.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Yeah, so basically this ties into like the original theme of us being like a drone and enjoying our work. And it's just him
Stanley
finally
walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
thinking for himself. Yeah, escape. If you go that way, certain stuff happens too, which is funny. Alright, what is this?
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Alright, it's all sorts of TVs. What is it that they're hiding from us? Gotta press another button. Oh, it's a camera button.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Alright, so is there a way to give ourselves freedom then?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Yeah. So that is originally what he wanted. That is like the epic story he wanted you to follow or whatever. There we go. This is the control room. System power.
When at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Alright, we shut it down. What's gonna happen now? What's happening?
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Alright, wait for it to open. There we go. Yeah,
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation. the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Yeah, so that reflects to where it starts, where he thinks he's happy being a little drone, doing the work they're asking him to do, day after day, etc., blah, blah, blah. And I can't believe I didn't really get more achievements along the way, interestingly enough. But anyway, as you can see, that is like the actual like ending you're supposed to get. That is like what the game is supposed to be. If you follow everything that the narrator says, it's supposed to be a story of Stanley, overcoming the brainwashing and whatever, and finding happiness for himself. So that's cool. But of course, if you do all these other things, as you can see, it leads to all sorts of other endings. So that's what makes the game so interesting. It's just has a lot of replayability. So one moment, let me meet you guys back at the title screen. Alrighty then, folks, and there you have it. So that is the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Even though I only did a fraction of the content, hopefully that convinces you guys to maybe check it out. Like I said, it is a really fun game. I love how there's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of things to explore, a lot of branching paths, a lot of replayability. Not only is there all the old stuff that if you never played the game, it's fun to discover all the ins and outs of that. But it looks like it's added all sorts of new content. I like when it was parodying the other games. I thought that was fun. The new content that was weird, where the whole skip button thing. And as we were heading to the actual ending, it said there was new content, so I guess to keep adding to it, etc. So there's all sorts of content to look at, all sorts of things to look at. Like I said, there's humor, there's wit, there's commentary, there's all this stuff happening. So I would say check it out. It's a really fun game, really easy to play since it's just a walking simulator. And I would say, support the game. It's really cool. I think the studio definitely deserves the attention. So there you go, guys. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. I play on the Switch. Feel free to check it out on whatever system you might have. And until next time, this has been Weeb Rabbit. If you like what you saw, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I am out. Bye-bye.